You ever sit at a Christmas table, watching everyone laugh, while you're the punchline of the joke? I did. On the day the world celebrates warmth, family, and love, I got handed a used candle and humiliation wrapped in shiny red paper. My sister got a designer bag. My brother got the latest tech gadget. And me? I got laughed at for existing. But the joke wasn't mine to hold. Not for long. Because someone else at that table had finally had enough. And when she exploded, so did everything they'd try to keep hidden. My name is Riley. I'm 23, work 2 jobs, and still show up for every family gathering. Birthdays, holidays, you name it. Not because I expect love or gifts, but because some part of me still hopes. Hopes that maybe this year things will be different. That maybe, just maybe, they'll see me. But Christmas Day? That was a whole different beast. It was snowing that morning. The kind of snow that softens the world, makes it feel like a movie. I wore my nicest coat, a second-hand navy wool one I'd saved up for last winter. I even baked cookies the night before, spent hours decorating them with little reindeer and holly berries, trying to bring something sweet to the table. I carried them carefully into my dad's house, heart pounding, hoping. The house smelled like cinnamon and roast ham. Laughter echoed down the hallway. I walked in, cheeks cold from the wind, holding the cookies like they mattered. My stepmother, Darlene, gave me her usual tight smile. My brother, Blake, didn't even look up from his phone. And my sister, Carly, well, she was the queen. Always had been. Carly's hair was perfectly curled, nails painted in deep red. She was seated beside Dad, who already had gifts stacked beside her like some Macy's display window. I took a seat on the far end of the couch. The one that always sinks too deep and makes you feel smaller than you already are. Still, I smiled and placed the cookie tin on the coffee table. Who brought these? Darlene asked, almost annoyed. I did, I said softly. She didn't respond, just moved on to the presents. Dad cleared his throat, proud, like a showman presenting a prize. Carly's sweetheart, Merry Christmas. He handed her a gleaming box. She squealed, unwrapped it dramatically, and pulled out a $500 Michael Kors bag. Oh my God, Dad. You remembered, she gasped, hugging him. This is exactly what I wanted. I clapped politely, though my hands trembled a bit. Not because I wanted a designer bag, but because that gift meant something. It meant she mattered more. It always meant that. Blake got a gaming headset. He smirked and mumbled. Finally, before giving Dad a quick fist bump. Then my dad turned to me. Here, Riley. He handed me a small gift bag. Wrinkled tissue paper stuck out of the top. I reached in and pulled out a candle, already half burned. I could see the blackened wick. No label. It's lavender, Carly smirked. Found it in the hall closet. Thought you'd like it. She snorted, then added, under her breath, but loud enough. Well, that's all you're good for anyway. Blake chimed in, chuckling. Maybe she can sell it for lunch money. I didn't say a word. I just looked at them, their eyes shining with cruel amusement, my dad sipping his coffee like nothing happened. My hand shook. My chest felt heavy, like I had swallowed the candle whole. I quietly stood, placed the candle on the table without a sound, picked up my coat and walked out. Outside, the snow was still falling. Soft, gentle, nothing like the storm building in my heart. But what they didn't know was someone else had been watching. And she wasn't going to let it slide. I walked out of Dad's house, the door clicking behind me, and didn't look back. The cold air hit me like a slap in the face, but it didn't matter. My heart was colder than anything the weather could throw at me. I didn't care about the presents, the laughter, or the way Carly's perfect smile flickered in my memory like a haunting. I took a deep breath, pulling my coat tighter around me. The snow crunched underfoot, the only sound in a world that felt way too quiet for a holiday. I started walking, just needing to get away from them, away from the constant feeling of never being good enough. My throat burned, but I refused to let the tears come. I wasn't going to cry over something like this. Not anymore. I didn't even know where I was going. Just away. But as I walked, the anger started building up inside me, like the storm I had been trying to ignore. How dare they? How dare they treat me like I was nothing? Like I didn't matter. My sister, the perfect one. My brother, the golden child. And me? The invisible one. The one who was never good enough to be treated with love, with respect. Just the one who could be made fun of without anyone batting an eye. But I didn't stop walking. No, I kept going through the snow, through the cold. My thoughts spinning. My hand shaking, not from the cold, but from something else, something deeper. I knew they didn't get it. None of them ever would. Then, the sound of a car pulling up behind me made me stop. The engine cut, and I heard the door open. My Aunt Lily. "Riley," she called out to me. She sounded worried. "Riley, where are you going?" I turned, and there she was, my aunt. Always the one who defended me. Always the one who saw me for who I was, not the mistakes my family made. She was older, in her 50s, but she still had that fire in her eyes. The fire that no one in my family ever seemed to understand. "I'm fine, Aunt Lily," I said, trying to push the pain down. Just needed some air. But she wasn't having it. "Don't give me that, sweetheart. You need to come back inside now." I hesitated. I wanted to stay out here in the quiet, in the cold, where I didn't have to pretend. But Aunt Lily wasn't going to let me go without talking. She stepped closer to me, her face soft with concern, but her eyes sharp, like she already knew what had happened. "I saw it," she said quietly. "I saw the way they treated you." I felt my stomach twist. "I'm fine," I repeated, but I could see the pity in her eyes. I didn't want her pity. "No," she said, her voice growing more intense. "You are not fine, Riley. What they did was wrong. Your sister, your brother, your father, they should be ashamed." I shook my head, the words not coming out right. "It's just how it is. I've gotten used to it." She stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed my arm, pulling me gently toward her car. "Get in the car, Riley. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be treated this way. And you sure as hell don't deserve that kind of gift." I glanced back at the house. I could see through the window. Carly and Blake were laughing, joking about something, completely unaware of what had just happened. Dad was sitting on the couch, his face unreadable. He never noticed when I was upset, never noticed when I left. I climbed into Aunt Lily's car, and we drove off in silence. But even in the quiet, I could feel my anger simmering beneath the surface. They had crossed a line, not just the gift, but the words, the mockery, the laughter. But there was more than just anger now. There was something else too, a spark, a seed of something that was growing inside me, something I had never felt before. The next part of this story wasn't going to be about running away. No, it was going to be about standing up. It was going to be about showing them that they had underestimated me. I wasn't going to be the quiet one anymore. I wasn't going to be the invisible one. They thought I was weak, but I had just begun to show them how wrong they were. That night, I sat on Aunt Lily's worn-out floral couch, clutching a mug of cocoa that had long since gone cold. The TV was on, playing some cheesy holiday movie, but I wasn't watching. My mind kept replaying everything. Carly's smirk, Blake's laughter, Dad's silence. Over and over, like some cruel loop designed to break me piece by piece. Aunt Lily was in the kitchen, probably giving me space, but the truth was, I didn't even know what I needed. I was numb. My chest felt hollow, like something vital had been scooped out. And in its place, a mix of sadness and shame. Not just at how they treated me, but at myself. For expecting something different. For hoping, even just a little, that this Christmas would be better. It's embarrassing, isn't it? Still wanting love from people who repeatedly prove they can't, or won't, give it. I whispered aloud to no one. "Why do they hate me?" And that broke the dam. My throat tightened, and tears spilled silently down my cheeks. I didn't sob. I just leaked pain. Quiet, slow, and agonizing. Aunt Lily came back into the living room and sat beside me without a word. She didn't ask anything. She just placed her hand gently on my back and sat with me while I fell apart. That silence was worth more than 1,000 apologies. "I don't understand what I did to deserve this," I said after a while, my voice hoarse. "You didn't do anything," she replied. "You were just born in a family that refuses to see your worth. That's on them, Riley. Not you." But still it hurt. I tried to sleep that night, but every time I closed my eyes, I heard Blake's laugh. I saw Carly's fake concern as she held up the used candle, like it was some grand gesture. And I saw my dad just letting it happen, Like always, I tossed and turned, my mind racing through every holiday, every birthday, every event where I had been the afterthought. The "oh yeah, Riley's here too" moment. And I remembered something so small, but it hit me hard. When I was 12, I saved up lunch money for weeks to buy Dad a new watch for Father's Day. I wrapped it in tissue paper and set it on the table with a homemade card. Carly showed up later with a brand new leather wallet she bought using Dad's credit card. He smiled and hugged her. He didn't even open my gift until hours later. When he did, he said, "Oh, this is nice," and left it on the counter. I never saw him wear it. That memory punched me in the gut like it had just happened yesterday. I sat up in bed, eyes wide open in the dark, and whispered, "Enough." Something had changed. Not in them, in me. I was tired of pretending like their crumbs were enough. Tired of making excuses for them. Of swallowing my pride and hoping for scraps of affection. It was exhausting and, frankly, humiliating. I was done being their emotional punching bag. The next morning, I got up early. Aunt Lily was already sipping coffee at the kitchen table. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, but this time I wasn't just brushing it off. "I think I know what I need to do." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, not revenge," I said quickly. "Not in the way people think. But I can't let this go. I can't keep pretending like I'm not affected." Aunt Lily tilted her head, curious. "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to show them who I really am," I said, the fire in my chest now a steady flame. "Not through yelling. Not through a tantrum. I'm going to be so successful, so grounded, so untouchable, that the only thing they'll have left is regret." She smiled slowly, proud. Now that's the Riley I've been waiting to see. But first I needed time. I needed to reset. And Lily offered to let me stay with her for a while. I didn't hesitate to say yes. Over the next few weeks, I buried myself in work. I took on extra shifts, signed up for courses online, learned skills I had been putting off. I started journaling every night, writing down my goals, my feelings, and yes, my pain. I channeled everything they had done to me into becoming the version of myself I had always wanted to be. Strong, independent, unshakable, but still something lingered. A small ache, a need to be acknowledged. Not for praise, not for gifts, but simply to be seen. I'd spent so much of my life invisible that now, even as I worked to build myself up, I feared falling back into that shadow. Then, 3 weeks later, Aunt Lily got a call. It was from my cousin Sarah. Carly had posted pictures from a post-Christmas brunch on Facebook. My father, my siblings, their partners, laughing, holding wine glasses. My candle still sat in the center of the table, like some kind of twisted joke. I stared at the photo for a long time. That's when it hit me. I didn't need revenge to hurt them. I needed it to free myself. And that was where the plan began. I didn't want screaming matches. I didn't want viral videos or public humiliation. That's not who I was. But I did want them to feel the absence of me. Truly feel it. The quiet echo of the person they treated like background noise. The silence I left behind would speak louder than any words I could ever scream. And I knew the perfect time and place to let that silence do its work. Every year, my dad hosted a big New Year's Eve gathering at his house. It was his favorite tradition, the only time he ever seemed genuinely proud of his family. Fancy catered food, crystal glasses, and of course, photo ops to show off his perfect children. I had always been expected to be there. Not invited, expected. But this year, I wasn't going to show up. Instead, I was going to make my absence felt. And I was going to do it in a way they couldn't ignore. I spent the next few days planning quietly. No drama. No angry texts. Just calm precision. Step 1, I changed my number. Not dramatically, but just enough that their texts wouldn't reach me. Then I updated it with work, friends, and, most importantly, my Aunt Lily. Step 2, I deleted my old social media accounts. The ones they followed. The ones where I had always posted family photos out of obligation. Gone. I created new private profiles under a variation of my name. Clean slate. Step 3, I printed out an invitation card. Handwritten. Elegant. No glitter or screaming fonts. Just quiet dignity. It read, "Dear family, I've spent many years trying to fit into a space that was never built for me. This new year, I choose to let go. I won't be attending the celebration. I'm carving my own path. May your year be full of the love you give and the silence you've earned. Riley. I placed it in a crisp white envelope and dropped it off at my dad's house 2 days before the party. Aunt Lily asked, "You sure this is the right way?" I nodded. It's not about hurting them. It's about healing me. Still, part of me worried they'd just laugh and brush it off, that they'd carry on as if I never existed. But deep down, I hoped, maybe for the last time, that something in them might shift, that they'd look around that big, glittery party and notice the space I once filled. Then came the final touch, what I called the silent storm. I had just finished designing my new professional website. Clean, bold, simple. On the homepage it read, "Hi, I'm Riley Thompson. Not the one they mocked. Not the one they overlooked. The one who rose anyway." Underneath was a photo of me. Not staged or flashy, just me in a blazer holding a cup of coffee, smiling with real peace. I didn't promote it publicly. I just sent the link to one person, my cousin Sarah, and I knew she'd show Carly. Carly could never resist clicking something labeled exclusive. She thrived on knowing things others didn't. And I knew what would happen next. Carly would open the site. She'd scroll. She'd squint. She'd scoff. But inside, she'd feel it. The shift. The quiet dignity she could never fake. And she'd run and show it to Blake. And eventually it would get to my dad. And they'd all sit there, wine glasses in hand, wondering, when did she become this person? And the answer? When you pushed me far enough that I had no choice but to grow in the dark. Aunt Lily made us dinner that night. Nothing fancy, just chicken pot pie and sweet tea. But it felt like home. Real home. Safe, warm, and free from performance. I smiled at her and said, "I don't think they'll ever apologize." She shrugged. "They don't need to. You're not waiting for it anymore." And she was right. This wasn't about forcing them to see my worth. It was about finally seeing it myself. But still, as the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve and the fireworks lit up the sky, I couldn't help but wonder, were they looking around that crowded room, champagne in hand, suddenly aware of the silence I left behind? New Year's Eve arrived, like it always did, with sparkle and noise, and everyone pretending to be a little happier than they really were. Except this time I wasn't there. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one feeling small. I wasn't the one sitting in a corner, ignored. I wasn't the one holding back tears in a bathroom while everyone else laughed over champagne. I was at Aunt Lily's tucked under a soft blanket, a cup of hot cocoa in my hands, and the smell of cinnamon and vanilla drifting from the kitchen. Peace. That's what it felt like. Not anger, not vengeance, just peace. But across town, things weren't quite so peaceful. Carly had seen the website. Blake too. Dad had gotten the note. And while I wasn't there to see it in person, Aunt Lily got a call from my cousin Sarah during the party. I sat on the couch, watching Lily's expression shift from concern to amusement. She hung up and turned to me with a soft chuckle. "They noticed," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "What happened?" "Well, apparently your dad read the card before the party started. He didn't say anything, just stood there holding it for a while. Then Carly showed everyone your website. She said she's being dramatic. But Sarah told me she kept zooming in on your photo." I couldn't help but laugh. Classic Carly. "And Blake," Lily hesitated, then smirked. "He actually said, I didn't think she had it in her." That made me pause. There it was. Not a full apology. Not a declaration of regret. But awareness. They had seen me. Not just the version they mocked. Not the girl they gave the candle to. But me, the one who quietly walked away and rebuilt herself. And as the party went on, as glasses clinked and laughter rang out, there was one empty chair by the fireplace. Mine. One voice missing from the group photos. Mine. One presence they could no longer dismiss. Mine. That was the revenge. Not fire. Not fury. Just the echo of absence where they expected me to be. Just the realization that they had pushed me away, thinking I'd always come back, and this time I didn't. No big confrontation. No screaming match. Just quiet. Undeniable proof that I didn't need them to shine. I had built something outside of them, and they couldn't take credit for it. When midnight hit, Aunt Lily and I watched fireworks through the window. She raised her mug and said to peace. I raised mine too, to finally knowing my worth. It's strange how silence can be louder than words. I didn't fight back with rage. I didn't scream or try to make them understand. I simply walked away, and that was enough. They didn't apologize. Maybe they never will. But now they know what they lost. And me? I gained everything. I found peace, self-worth, and love in the most unexpected places. I stopped begging to be seen, and instead, I became someone impossible to ignore. Sometimes, revenge isn't about making others suffer. It's about healing yourself so well that their absence becomes a blessing. Now, I light candles that I choose, in homes that feel like mine, surrounded by people who truly care. So let me ask you, what would you have done if your family handed you a used candle and told you that's all you're good for? Let me know in the comments. And if this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe for more.